Welcome back to Home Hair Academy with me, Ray. If you are new here, I am a professional hairdresser, cosmetologist, beautician, and I am here to teach you how to do things at home. And we've been going over like analyzing your hair and really getting to know all her traits and attributes so that you can go to your beauty supply store and pick out a color that is specific to your needs and ditch the box color. I said this a lot in the beginnings of the Home Hair Academy episodes. If you're in a place where you can like financially and health-wise afford to physically go in a salon, I definitely encourage you to do that and support your local salons. As a hairstylist myself, you know, I guess I'm a little bit biased here, but even our salon, which is still like definitely staying afloat, but we're down like 20 to 30%, and that's hard for businesses. So don't just not go just to not go. Anyway, so this week we are recapping on the previous like 10 episodes so that I can kind of break down how you can pick your color. So go and get a pen and piece of paper because we're going to take some notes so that you have a guideline to work from, and it's a little bit easier when you see it all in front of you. Starting with texture and wave pattern, I want you to put a little note on both of those. If you remember from our previous episodes, you'll know if your texture and wave pattern are more on the fragile side or if they're super strong and healthy. So just make a quick little note about both of those. And then we're going to do the same with your elasticity and porosity. They're fragile or strong, or even if you're feeling like they're somewhere in between, you can make a note of that as well. Do you have gray hair? If so, is it important that it is covered, or you don't care either way? If you do have gray hair, what percentage are we looking at? A little, a lot, in between. It doesn't have to be a super precise percentage, but it's good to think about going in. Do you have virgin hair? Previously colored hair? So is there any previous color on your hair, or is it all natural? So this one's kind of a trick question. So like me, I've got my roots, right? And so my roots are virgin because there's nothing on them. I'm actually going to be filming later tonight to put up next week how to apply color to your roots. So my formula will be formulated as if I had no color on it because I won't be coloring the rest of it. So do you have virgin hair? And even if you're just doing a root touch up, then you can check that box as yes. All right, so we've got all those basics down. So now I want you to write down what your desired hair color level is. And remember that that's a level from 1 to 10, and it's gonna be how light or how dark your hair is. What is the tone of your desired level? Like mine is definitely warm. It's kind of got a little bit of golds and reds to it. It's actually a hybrid formula because it has warms and cools in it, but just a little bit more warms. Okay, so you have your desired level and tone. What is your current level and tone? And so this again depends on, are you just covering your roots, or is this like an all over situation? And if it's an all over situation, you'll want to kind of take into account your root color versus the rest. So maybe write both of those options down. So we're figuring out the difference between the desired level and your current level which is the darkness or lightness of your hair, right? So my roots, which is what I'll be coloring, are somewhere between like a 5 and a 6, so we're gonna call it a 5.5. My desired end result is a level 7, which is this. And so if my options, you know, are anywhere between 5 and 40 volume. And just to recap that, I do have a whole episode on it, so if you haven't seen it, check that out once you get done here, or go check it out and come back, you know, whatever works. So 5 to 10 volume is typically gonna be a deposit only, so that's not gonna do enough to my roots because I need some lift. 20 volume is gonna be 1 to 2 levels. And as I mentioned in the previous video, that is my sweet spot. So that is what I will be using on my roots when I do my color. 30 volume is gonna give you 2 to 3 levels of lift. And 40 will be 3 to 4. And again, we are just talking about color, not about bleach. Bleach is kind of a whole nother beast. And I am gonna do just a full video talking about bleach. Really, it could be a whole series, but I will get y'all a video on bleach soon. So take the difference and split it there. So sometimes there are lots of options, right? Like I could use a 30 with mine if I wanted a little oomph. And it kind of brings you back to your notes here that we took. So we've like have these texture wave pattern, like how fragile is it? So this is important because if we're between options and we can go with a gentler formula and we need to, then we have these notes to reference back to, like, oh yeah, like maybe I should do the one that's less damaging so that I don't jack my hair up, because I do have those sort of issues or potential issues. And with gray coverage, I might have skipped over this, but if you check that box, you'll need to make sure and use permanent hair color. And so that kind of goes back to the fragile versus strong questions. And so if we're on the fragile side, maybe adjust your desired level to one that's either the same level that you're at or darker, so that you don't have to have that lift. So you can use something a little bit nicer. I did write density on here too, which I might have forgotten to mention, but density is mostly going to be important for how much color you're actually going to need. So that'll help you to know like how much to buy while you're there. My recommendation is buy more than you think you're going to need, because you do need to like make sure to super saturate. Another important thing I want to note is if you haven't quite figured out your level or your desired level and your desired tones and stuff, when you are looking at hair swatches, keep in mind that most of the time these colors have been applied onto clear or white hair, and we don't have clear or white hair. Keep in mind the canvas you're working with always, right? Which leads me into my next portion of things, which is going to be your tones. So thinking about your current tone versus your desired tone, are you trying to enhance that? Is there a tone you're trying to cancel out? So don't forget our little color wheel tips and tricks. We have Auburn, LSU, and Christmas. We could get into like a whole color wheel, but I think this is really like plenty for you to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, and just like always keeping in mind what you're putting your color on top of. All right, y'all, if you have any questions above and beyond what we've talked about, let me know in the comments below. It also helps me to create my content, knowing like how you're feeling and the questions that you're having. So leave those below, and if you're enjoying this, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And next week I'll show you how to cover up these roots. Okay, it's the real Ray. Bye.